how do I reduce risk, or how do I avoid risk in my EB5 investment, and how about safety of my EB5 investment, and geez, will I ever get my money back, and what about my green card? What happens if I don't get my green card? And I want you to know, as you watch this and as we're talking today, you can take it to heart the fact that CMB has been at work to bring to the marketplace for our EB5 investors. Now that's important. Long before we've ever know who will invest in an EB5 investment from CMB, we've been at work putting together projects that will achieve the goals of the EB5 investor. And those goals are primarily two: permanent green card for themselves and their family, and at some point they anticipate or hope to see a return of their investment money. Those two are the two primary goals. So when you overlay the primary goals of the EB5 investor with the foundation that Mr. Hogan, our founder and CEO, has instilled in the CMB company as a whole, then you'll understand that our focus and our goals as a company are exactly the same as the goals of the EB5 investor. We understand that if the EB5 investors are successful in achieving their EB5 goals of permanent green card, and hopefully see a return of the investment capital at some point in the future, and that's the way CMB was built by Mr. Patrick Hogan. We don't count our successes by how much money we raise. In fact, if you look through any of our materials and you look through our brochures and most of our website, we speak very little about how much we raise in EB5 capital. However, you'll see when you look at our website and you look at our brochures and you look at our information that we put out for you to evaluate, we talk an awful lot about how many families we've been able to help, that we've helped families from more than 100 countries around the world, that we've got nearly 6,000 families who have trusted CMB with their EB5 goals. That's really what's important. So how do we put together a project that's safe? First of all, we put on your shoes. We look at what is it going to take to achieve the number one goal of the EB5 investor. The EB5 program requires that the investor make an investment, a minimum amount of investment. Presently, those investment amounts are $800,000 for projects in a targeted employment area or infrastructure, or $1,050,000 in a non-targeted employment or infrastructure project. Those investment amounts must, as a result of that investment, create at least 10 jobs for American workers. So at its core, the EB5 program is a jobs creation program with an immigration benefit. So for the investors to achieve their number one goal, regardless of the amount of investment, they must demonstrate that they've created at least 10 jobs. And that's where we come in. Remember, before we even come to the marketplace with a project, we've done an evaluation on the number of jobs that are anticipated to be created as a result of the EB5 funds becoming part of a target project. We've already done the analysis. We've looked at the number of jobs that are projected to be created, and then we build towards the number of investors that could be accepted in that project based upon the number of jobs being created. Now, we never max out the number of jobs or the number of investors based upon the number of jobs, and that's number one step towards being safe. We always leave a cushion of jobs. We always put in fewer investors than we possibly could based upon the number of jobs that are being created. Second way to reduce risk. We work with some developers who have vast experience. In fact, Hillwood Development Company, we've done, and right now we're on their 36th project that we've partnered with Hillwood Development Company. Very few developers have ever done 36 projects using EB5 funds. So that's an important consideration when it comes to risk. When you ask CMB, we don't find it a bother that you're asking me to prove to you or that CMB's representatives prove to you that what we're telling you is the truth. Simply because we've set an industry standard for transparency and an industry standard for the way that we conduct ourselves in the way of integrity. How do we do that? Of auditing all of our partnerships from the very beginning. What that means is that we analyze the partnerships for financial practices. Look to the job creation proposal. Does it make sense? Are there sufficient jobs for every investor in the partnership? And next, take a look at what the developer has in the way of experience in EB5 and outside of EB5. Those are critical components on ways to evaluate a project and ways to look at risk. Be careful. The motivation for many organizations when they start a business is for profit. They lose the focus that the EB5 investor is a real human being. Behind every $800,000 or $1,050,000 investment is a real family with real needs, real goals, real desires, and the dreams to come to the United States, live as permanent residents using the EB5 program. But those who have a profit motive as their sole focus, they are oftentimes blinded by the fact that, geez, behind that money and behind that dollar sign, there's a real family. So that gets back to the question. What about risk? What does CMB do to, well, before I've ever met you, before we've ever talked, we've considered the projects and how to build the best project to create a lot of jobs and work with developers who have a high pedigree and a lot of experience at completing the projects and creating the jobs for investors. Secondarily, we have a structure that is time-tested and approved by the USCIS that shows that the job creation methodology that CMB uses is acceptable for EB5 purposes. We have an in-house team of business economists, investor relations managers, and some of the best people in the world in the EB5 space working with CMB and as part of CMB's team. You're always welcome to reach out and touch base with us and ask us any questions that you may have on CMB and our CMB offerings. You can do that through your agent, your agency partner. You're very welcome to reach out to CMB at any time and ask us any questions that you may have.